It's sort of like if you were in the old days in the dark room developing your film, and at first it doesn't look anything like you want it to, and then it becomes and becomes and becomes and becomes and becomes and becomes right before your eyes. Well, that's what's happening with you. You're becoming and becoming and becoming and becoming and becoming and becoming right before your eyes. And so you got to be all right with where you are now in the process of becoming.
Hey, everybody, it's Dr. Jack.
And Mary.
And it is podcast episode 124.
Yeah.
Forbidden Pearls of Wisdom.
Part 2. This was one of our most popular podcasts, so we decided we have so many pearls we want to share with you.
And there's just a few more in this one, but we have a lot more yet to come in future podcasts.
Yeah. Hey, and by now you probably noticed that we've been skipping a week with these podcasts. So,
listen, we honestly believe there's all the time in any day to get anything done that you want to get done.
Right.
And there's some other things we want to get done, such as the webinars.
Yes.
So that we can give you a podcast on steroids.
Yeah, we have been working and we love these podcasts, but they are a lot of work. And so we're giving ourselves a break, still coming out with them every other week. At least that's what we're thinking. But we're so excited for our webinars.
We are.
So they'll be much more in depth on the subjects that you desire and you tell us about. We'll dig in and we'll get everything explained. And also, we think, if we can figure this out, we think they will be live for the first time. So just like your radio show you were on for 20 years.
22.
22 years.
I want the 2 twos.
So you can bring your questions and they'll be answered live.
Live on the air.
Super cool.
Yes. And then it'll go on being repeated because it'll be available to be downloaded later on.
Mm-hmm.
But the first recording will be live with your phone calls.
Okay, well, this one is pearls, forbidden pearls of wisdom, of course. And I love this quote I found from Rumi. I have been a seeker and still am, but I stopped asking the books and the stars. I started listening to the teachings of my soul.
Yeah. And there will be a big presentation of this towards the end of this podcast.
Stick around to the end.
That very concept.
Yeah, rules disable, constraints enable. Don't follow diets just because it's a rule. Listen to your passions and desires and eat what you crave. So be sure to stick around to the end because we're going to have a special gift and one last huge, gigantic,
beautiful pearl.
Wonderful pearl at the very, very end.
So, and as we've asked before, is there a way that we can help you at a distance? Boy, you bet there is. Just take the online symptom survey. You know you have a problem, and you know if you've been listening to us long enough, we have the solution to help you on a foundational level.
Yeah, not just getting rid of symptoms.
And you just keep putting it off. You don't need to. You can enjoy the peace of foundational healing rather than the useless frustration of managing symptoms.
Yeah, just simply go to forbiddendoctor.com and take our free symptom survey. There's no obligation. There's no charge. We even offer a free 30-minute review of your submitted survey, and still no charge for that. This isn't a bait and switch. There'll be no charge unless you want to go further. Some people do, and they buy more time with a nutritionist, our nutritionist, or our staff, or personal consultations, or they fly in, as a lady did last week, flew in from California. She had healthcare at a distance with the symptom survey, but then decided she wanted more help.
And after some consultation over the phone, she flew into the office and we met her and we took care of her.
Yeah, our wonderful staff even picked her up from the airport.
Yeah. Now, we're not offering that as a service.
I couldn't believe it. I found out after.
I was surprised. Yeah, I didn't know about it till after.
And took her back. We have the best staff
that
in the world.
That obligates us to a tremendous liability, so I'm going to need to talk to the staff about that.
Oh, that's true.
That's right.
That's true. Call
Uber. We do not offer a ambulance service.
But they were super nice. I love our staff. We have the best.
All right.
Okay, don't forget, listen to Dr. Jack live on national radio every Tuesday morning, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. or 8 a.m. That would be a long time.
It's a long show, yeah. That's live on Tuesdays, and then it's replayed. That's live on Tuesdays at radioamerica.com, 7 to 8 a.m. Mountain Standard, 9 to 10 East Coast time. And then it's replayed on Saturdays in the Salt Lake City area at k-talk.com or AM 1640.
Yeah, and if you missed the live show, you can go to radioamerica.com and listen to the archives. And so you can learn for free from Jack. Well, Doug does most of the talking, and there's lots of commercials, but it still has some real pearls of information in there. Okay, here's our favorite weekly feature, Forbidden Secrets They Don't Want You to Know. These are the secret things they keep from you, the dumb things they tell you, and the really important things they know nothing about.
Yes.
Today, we finally found the best explanation for this weekly series. We're going to play a video here, and it shows somebody that has split open the universe, grabbed information from another dimension, and brought it back to Earth, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed. This guy is Naveen Jain. He's an entrepreneur and philanthropist who came to this country with $5 in his pocket and turned it into billions. I could go on and on with his the businesses he's started. He's planning to launch a lunar mission by the end of this year. Just that, you know.
Yeah, I'm worried about the weeds in the yard, and he's planning a lunar mission.
Yeah, he's a pretty impressive guy. I really liked it. This is a big, long interview. We're only taking a small section out. I think it's just a few minutes. So
But catch a piece of this man's excitement and exuberance.
Yeah, this is what he wants to do. The future of healthcare.
Understanding the root cause of the problem, right? And in healthcare, what happened is, system really starts out with a really good goal. One of the problems we face in our society is that any time a system starts, it always have a noble purpose, and it really does well for the time it was invented for. And over time, either the cause becomes irrelevant or the system becomes irrelevant to the cause. So if you think about what happened in the education system, there's nothing broken about it. It was designed for the time when people needed skills. And education system was designed to teach you a skill that you could use for the rest of your life, and life was good. Now we have exponential technologies. That means every skill you learn becomes obsolete every 5 to 10 years. And you get the chronic unemployment, right? That means now we have to redo the education system. As opposed to teaching you a skill which you can learn on Google, you have to teach them learning to learn. How do you apply interdisciplinary approach to solving a problem? And the problem solving is the thing what you need to teach them, not when the Abraham Lincoln was born.
Right. So how do you teach them that?
So I'm going to come to it in a second here. But let's go to the second part of the thing. Like similarly in the healthcare system, it was designed for a time when people were dying from infectious diseases. So the system was designed, you were sick, you go to the hospital, they give you medicine, you come back and life was good. What do we have today? The chronic diseases. That means you're always sick. System wasn't designed for you to be always sick. And here's the irony of the situation. Cure for the infectious diseases, the antibiotics, is the one that actually caused all the chronic diseases. Our belief was that somehow the human being needs to be sterile. All we have to do is get rid of all the viruses and bacteria from our system, and we'll be a perfect, healthy human being. What they didn't realize was we as humans are primarily an ecosystem, more microbial than human. And here's what surprised me, Tom, that you will like. Less than 1% of our genes actually come from our DNA.
What?
Less than 1%. 99% of the genes expressed in our body come from the microorganisms that live inside our gut.
Wow. I knew the number was high. I had no idea that it was that high.
And really what we have to do now to stay healthy is to understand we are an ecosystem. And if our gut is healthy, actually all these chronic diseases disappear. So think about it. Chronic diseases don't happen overnight. They happen over time. And they happen because we have a constant inflammation in our body. And it happens because we're not feeding the right nutrients to ourselves. So what I realized is that what people think is a healthy diet may not be healthy for you. It may be healthy for someone else. Think about it. My generations after generations, I grew up in northern India. You know what the staple food there is? Wheat. All our ancestors only ate wheat. My microbiomes were tuned to eating wheat. And I was starving them. Right? So the point is, no two people, when you look at our DNA, 99% of our DNA is same. When you look at our microorganisms in our gut, less than 5% is the same. So how can the same diet be good for you and me? So if anyone who's selling you, go on this Atkins diet or paleo diet or ketogenic diet or that diet or this diet, it may work for someone, not for everyone. And even if it works for you today, it may not work for you 3 months from now. And that's
based on what's happening to my microbiome.
Exactly. So all you have to do is keep your guest happy, and they will keep you healthy, because they produce all the nutrients that our body needs. So I am just so super psyched, Tom, that coming from the point of saying, we become, our legacy would have been going to the moon. And when I started to look at what I'm about to do with healthcare, it's going to change the lives of billions of people. Imagine if we can create a world where no one ever has to be sick. And if we can do that together, simply using the artificial intelligence and the technology that is available now to be able to analyze everything that's happening inside our body and personalize just simple diet and nutrition, no pharmaceuticals will ever be needed. And if we can create that world, you and I both will go down in history as doing something big.
Wow.
Man, I'll tell you, he just took on the pharmaceutical industry and they just put the crosshairs on that boy's head.
That's right. That was...
But all he did there in 3 or 4 minutes long, 5 minutes long, what we have been talking about in 100 podcasts.
Yeah, get the gut healthy.
The microbiome.
The most important thing he said, I think, was, everybody needs a different diet, and that's why you eat what you crave.
Yes.
And you may crave cherries like crazy. That was a story I was going to tell, was eating cherries. This girl that had a little growth on her lip, and she went to the doctor, and it was cancerous, and she ate cherries like crazy. She craved them like crazy. She ate bushels of cherries, and the thing on her lip dried up and fell off. Now, I'm not saying cherries is a cure for cancer by any stretch of the imagination, but you eat what you crave. But in her case,
she followed what she craved.
She ate what she craved. Now, and that could change. And then after that fell off, she maybe never wanted to see a cherry the rest of her life.
Yes.
You just never know. So I just thought that was unbelievable that he said you've got to go to the microbiome. Now, I didn't like the part about he says we've got this artificial intelligence we're going to use. I don't know what he's talking about, but it could be amazing.
But he did talk about how the microbiome, the bugs in us, in our gut, is a more causative cause of expression of the gene than the DNA is.
That's right.
The DNA directs the construction of the gene, but whether the gene is expressed or not, whether the gene becomes operational or not, is not the job of the DNA. It's the external factors. And what he's saying there, the condition in the gut is the greatest cause of expression of disease, or expression of the gene itself. And you could have a gene for cancer. We all do. We have genes for all kinds of stuff. But those genes do not have to turn the switch on and become active. And what he's saying is that 99% effect is from outside the cell, not inside the cell, that causes the genes inside the cell to actually turn on.
And we talked a lot about this we're trading with these vaccinations, trying to get our bodies sterile and never catch anything. We're trading infectious disease for chronic disease.
Yes.
And I really like that he hit on that.
He makes that very clear.
And we should have a world of no health problems.
Yeah.
I mean, why shouldn't we? I mean, we should be creators.
Very, very healthy people, even as children, when they were exposed to viruses and other kinds of microbe stuff that caused, they didn't have to be sick.
Right.
Or they had a very, very mild illness and then they were over it.
Yeah. I found this the other day. The sign of a good doctor should be how many patients he can get off medications, not how many people he puts on medications.
Yeah, and that's why this Naveen fellow is saying where the healthcare system today is so out of date as to what is really needed.
Yeah, and medical doctors, they're not trained in healing. You just barely went to a medical doctor to clean up that mess from the root canal, or the root canals that had eaten away the mesh. I mean, it eaten the membrane had eaten. He had to put in mesh, but one of your root canals the root had literally eaten through and punctured into your
maxillary sinus. Yeah.
And so he had to put mesh thing in there. And then because of that infection that got into your sinuses, and because you went to an ENT doctor and he said you broke your nose when you were a little kid, little toddler or something, and you have a severely horizontal deviated septum. He said, I don't know how you've lived like this for 66 years.
I haven't lived. I've struggled for air all these years.
I know, it's terrible, lack of oxygen. So Jack just had a pretty intense, serious operation where he fixed your deviated septum, got fixed, and you cleared out the infection.
Oh, yeah, and it's all the difference in the world now.
Oh, yeah, you still sound a little nasally.
Yeah, I probably will for another week.
But you bounce back so incredibly fast. You sound so much better than you did just barely on the Doug Steffen show a couple days ago.
Yes.
So anyway, when he was released from the hospital, or it was just a day surgery, but when he was released from it, he got a recommendation here to go to the discharge diet instructions was to go to a regular home diet. What does that mean?
Well, they don't know.
I know. And so that's why I'm saying this is on this weekly series. They don't know. These are things they don't know. They don't know anything about this. But the reason I bring it up is because we think medical doctors know how to heal.
And they have the problem is, and it's not their fault. It's the medical school curriculum. They have no training in nutrition. They have no training in the relationship of different kinds of foods to the health of the body. It's not that they don't want to know about it, although they don't. It's because it was never there in their training to begin with. You might as well, as I say many times, take your computer that's having hard drive problems to a plumber. Right. No offense to the plumbers out there, but you wouldn't take it to a plumber. You would take it to a computer expert. Mm-hmm. And so when you go to a modern medical profession today with questions about nutrition, you might as well be speaking Chinese.
Yeah.
They're not going to understand the question, let alone an answer.
Yeah, but they're wonderful crisis care doctors. And here's a picture of Jack's fabulous doctor. He probably saved your life. You cultured the bacteria.
What did you do there to make me look old?
You look so happy. Let me tell you, you had just had those things pulled out of your nose, those stents.
Oh, my goodness.
And your eyes are still swollen from the operation.
These splints were terrible.
You still have like a little black eye there. But Dr. David Hill, he was wonderful. Yeah, just a beautiful Western medicine.
And he says he excused himself from not understanding some of the things we were talking about by just saying, hey, I'm trained in Western medicine.
He did.
But I'll look into it. And we made a few suggestions about some things he might do that could avoid the use of complete antibiotics.
Mm-hmm, yeah, because we said we're not.
But that was, and that's behind me now, and I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah. This website podcast is not intended to be a diversion away from the current system of disease management. It is our intention to offer a rational and very effective approach to aiding your body in its ability to rebuild and heal. Please be advised that any suggested nutritional advice or dietary advice is not intended as a primary treatment or a therapy for any disease or particular bodily symptom. Nutritional counseling, supplement vitamin recommendations, nutritional advice, and the adjunctive schedule of nutrition is provided solely to upgrade the quality of foods in the patient's diet in order to supply good nutrition supporting the physiological and biomechanical processes of the human body. We want to start out with some of our many, many insights and ahas that we've run across through about 25 years of clinical practice, 20 years or 22 years on the radio, and 2.5 years now of podcasting.
Hey, and speaking about 25 years of clinical practice, the thought just hit me. There's two educations. Excuse me. There's the education you get in school to get a DR in front of your name. Mm-hmm. And then there's the education you get in the real world when you start taking care of people.
Yeah, real people.
And you find out that most of what you really need to know, you learn from the experience of taking care of people and watching what happens rather than the tests you had to take for national licensure.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense what I'm saying here?
Mm-hmm.
The real education comes from person to person, taking care of the persons in front of you, and then go to the next one, and then go to the next one, and feedback.
People,
and they're
numbers.
Real people. They're not books.
Yeah.
They're not numbers. They're not charts. They're not conclusions. Living
and
human
remembering
beings.
that the forbidden doctor is inside of you.
Very good.
Here's the first pearl. Those of you that are old enough can remember the days when we got measles, chickenpox, mumps, etc. That the only downside is that we had to stay home in bed for a few days and then back out with our friends, stronger and healthier than we were before we got sick.
But now what we have is a situation where people who are too young to have that experience are being brainwashed into thinking that measles and chickenpox are serious diseases. Nobody dies of measles and chickenpox.
Okay, well, here's
mumps.
Here's a little video that shows you what we used to think about measles, that dreaded disease.
Well, Doc, what's the big McGill here? What's with my boy?
Measles.
Measles?
Oh, no.
Say it isn't so, Doc. You're kidding, huh?
That's what it is.
Well, don't get excited. It's not serious.
Sure, though, it isn't serious.
No, it's not serious. Just a catastrophe, that's all.
To you, it's a catastrophe. To me, it's a catastrophe. Every seat in the house is sold out. Well, I better take care of refunding the ticket money.
Listen, just tell him he's sick, but don't say what's wrong with him. You hear me? Oh, measles. Measles. Listen, Doc, can I see you a minute, please? I want to talk to you.
You can get dressed now.
This is very important. Believe me, it's a matter of life or death. You gotta help us out. Me and my boy are in big trouble.
Well, if your boy takes it easy, he'll be as good as new in a few days. He's only got measles.
Only got measles. Doc, if he only had gangrene or typhoid fever, believe me, we could wring their hearts out. But measles ain't got no class. It's kid stuff. They'll laugh at us.
That's incredible.
Doc, look. Let them hate us, love us, scream at us, print nasty things about us in the newspapers we go sailing on. But if they laugh at us, we're dead. Believe me.
Would you mind terribly if we kept him here?
Honey, has that con man been talking to you?
Look, we've all had measles, so there's no problem there. Oh, it's a shame to send that poor sick boy off to a cold hotel room.
He can stay at a hospital.
But if the teenagers found out, honey, it's just for a few days. And, well, Mary and Jeff would get a kick out of it. I don't mind.
Isn't that great?
It just takes you back, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I hope you could hear that.
And so when I read, I see things on the TV reports. I see things in the newspaper, 15 kids found with measles. And I say, all right, that's wonderful. This is going to boost their immune systems. They're going to be healthy.
Here's what the British Medical Journal said back in 1959. In the majority of children, the whole episode of measles has been well and truly over in a week. From the prodromal phase to the disappearance of the rash, and many mothers have remarked how much good the attack has done their children, as they seem so much better after the measles. In this practice, measles is considered a relatively mild and inevitable childhood ailment that is best encountered anytime from 3 to 7 years of age. Over the past 10 years, there have been few serious complications at any age, and all children have made complete recoveries as a result of this reasoning. And as a result of this reasoning, no special attempts have been made at prevention, even in young infants in whom the disease has not been found to be especially serious.
As a result of this reasoning, no special attempts have been made at preventing this.
Well, this mass vaccination of measles.
Yeah. And that big vaccination, that big measles outbreak at Disneyland of 150s, they found out that some 95% of them had been vaccinated for measles.
Yeah, a lot of them.
I mean, it's ridiculous. But we've got podcasts on this.
Yeah, here's one more. This is great. Oh, let's see if it will start.
Peter, what are you doing home from school?
They sent me home. Measles.
That's either measles or a strange case of red freckles.
You have got a temperature.
They told me 101.1. What's the record?
Never mind. That's one record you don't want to break.
Right. You don't get to hold the title very long.
Only a few days and you're feeling better. This series went on and on and on. I decided to cut it.
Then you find out all the kids
got measles,
have measles,
and even the parents.
And they're sitting around playing games and having fun. And then
at the very end, she has this chalkboard and she checks off, okay, now we've all gotten the measles. This is great. We've all had the mumps.
We've all had the chicken pox. And, the 6 kids in the Brady Bunch. Nobody died.
Nobody died. So most viral infections almost always leave the body stronger than before the infection. In fact, that is our pearl.
Yeah.
Why? Most infections trigger the release of growth hormone, and in the presence of a lessened demand for energy that sickness leaves us with, the body grows stronger and more able to handle stress. So when the fever's over, we begin to recover, and we are, by definition, stronger.
And a lot of people out there who have had kids who were sick with a viral infection, you know yourself, shortly after the rash was gone and they were back on their feet, they were actually stronger and more active than they were before they got sick.
Yeah, well, go listen to our podcast on skin cancer, and they talk about people that had skin cancer and got the measles, and it ate up something much more terrible, as Dr. McBride says, which was cancer. And their cancer goes away. Their skin cancer is gone away.
They're doing that now with the immunotherapy experimentation with cancer therapy. And they're finding out, especially with melanoma on the skin, give them a case of measles and the melanoma disappears.
Yeah, it's.
Yep.
So, as Hippocrates says, to do nothing is sometimes a good remedy.
And, and a lot, when you look back at Greek and Roman cultures and societies, the ancient Chinese, the Indo-Chinese, the Celts, and they knew this stuff. Hippocrates wasn't the only one to realize, but he's given credit for being the father of modern medicine because of the diagnostic stuff and the way he would relate lifestyle and things to this disease and differential diagnosis. This isn't this, this is that. But a lot of people just want to do nothing. To do nothing is a good remedy. Well, that's what they thought 2,400 years ago. That certainly couldn't be effective today.
And yet,
right here on the cover of Time magazine, what if I decide to just do nothing?
Breast cancer's new frontier.
Yeah.
We also covered this in a podcast, too, on iodine and these women that were diagnosed with stage 0 cancer, and they just watch their
So what is
lumps.
old is now new.
Yeah.
The way that usually works. Oh, we got an example of what used to be old being now new. We want to give you, get out your pens and paper and take some notes here. A short history of medicine. So 2000 BC, here, eat this root. 1000 BC, roots are heathen. Say a prayer.
1850 AD, prayer is superstition. Take this potion.
1900, that potion is snake oil. Take this pill.
1940 AD, that pill is useless. Take this antibiotic.
2000, that antibiotic is no longer effective.
Against these bugs?
So here, eat this root. That's where we are headed. Thank goodness.
So the pearl is, we've always used plants throughout the centuries, but usually it has been for medicinal reasons, not as a food staple.
No, they knew that meat, fish, dairy, and eggs was the thing that built
and
bodies.
Spices. Don't forget spices.
Oh, yes.
That's usually what we crave, off and on.
All right.
We want to talk a little bit about vitamin A with this pearl.
Beta carotene. You cannot get vitamin A from a plant. It doesn't exist in plants. It only exists in animal fat.
It has to be converted in the body.
But what they say is vitamin A is beta carotene. And there's alpha carotene, beta carotene, all the way down through to, there's 60 different kinds of carotenes. And that has to be converted in the body to vitamin A. And are you saying that there's no vitamin A in a carrot? Yeah, there's no vitamin A in a carrot. But what your body will take from that carrot, the carotene, it will produce vitamin A inside your own body. Your liver will do that. And your body desperately needs vitamin A. But again, we're trying to distinguish or contradistinguish between a whole food source of vitamin A and the artificial type of vitamin A, the synthetic vitamin A, because there's a very serious problem that can come in from synthetic vitamin A.
Yeah. And also beta carotene is just one of 60 some precursors. It's not vitamin A, as you went through.
Yeah.
So if you throw artificial vitamin A into an already toxic liver, what happens?
Well, you've seen these news programs that talk about what synthetic vitamin A will lead to. Birth defects.
Birth defects.
Yeah, synthetic vitamin C, which is ascorbic acid, hardening of the arteries, and synthetic vitamin E, heart disease.
So if you see on the label, see that vitamin A is palmitate?
Yeah, you know it's synthetic.
It's synthetic. Now, I have to ask you a question. Would you eat a synthetic carrot? There's a real carrot.
No.
And there's a synthetic carrot. I mean, really, it's like, really, you're going to put a synthetic palmitate into your body? What's your body going to do with it? It doesn't know.
Well, it has to go to the liver, and the liver's got to figure out what to do with it.
Yeah.
And if you, as you said, if you put it into an already toxic liver, you're going to have some more problems.
Yeah. So the pearl is, don't take synthetic vitamin A, palmitate, especially when you're pregnant.
Yeah.
So watch for that. Okay, here's the next pearl. Ooh, that looks pretty good.
Well, when we consume simple carbohydrates, candy bars, pasta, soda, etc., the blood sugar will rise rapidly in the body. Obviously, it gets through the stomach, gut, into the bloodstream, not through the stomach, but through the bloodstream, into the bloodstream from the gut. And in response, the pancreas is going to secrete this insulin, whose primary purpose is to store sugar as fat for energy. Its second job is to try and get the blood sugar into the cell out of the blood. And if the cell is already full because you've been eating sugar all day long,
just like that,
it doesn't need glucose, and it's rejected. And to avoid extra sugar from gumming up all of the works inside the cells, it's just left out there in the blood. And this is where the diabetes or especially diabetes type 2 shows up, because when your full cells reject that extra glucose, the blood sugar rises, producing more insulin, and then the glucose converts that insulin to fat. And so the cycle continues. And blood sugar is controlled in a very, very narrow range. I mean, extra sugar molecules will attach to a variety of proteins that in turn injure the blood vessel walls.
Yeah.
And this repeated injury to the blood vessel wall sets off this cycle of inflammation, so that when you spike your blood sugar several times a day, every day, it's exactly like taking sandpaper to the inside of those delicate blood vessels.
And this is the point we're trying to get across. Sugar does this to the inside of your blood vessels. Can you imagine taking sandpaper to the inside of your blood vessels?
Well, especially if you're eating, if you get up in the morning and you got breakfast cereal with orange juice and toast, oh my gosh. And then you have some mid-morning snack that's usually some carby thing.
Yeah.
You have your lunch, fast food for a lot of people that's going to have a lot of processed carbs. An afternoon snack, I don't know.
Donuts.
Donuts
they
in the
bring
morning,
donuts into work
and then
all
a
the
lot
time.
of carbs, pastas, things like this at dinner. Your pancreas simply does not have a chance.
So here's our little pearl. If you do that, mitigate the damage with chlorophyll complex, because chlorophyll will heal internal burns.
Yes.
It's
chlorophyll is one little ion away from hemoglobin in the blood.
Blood, yeah.
It's the same giant molecule in chlorophyll. It's magnesium that holds the pieces together. In hemoglobin, it's iron that holds the pieces together. With the magnesium in chlorophyll, it's green. With the iron, it's red. Yeah. But it's the same. It's 99.5% the exact same molecule. So when you get that chlorophyll into the system, the body exchanges iron for the magnesium, and you got good, healthy hemoglobin.
Yeah. You can think of it as cleansing your blood, but when people have severe acid reflux, I have them chew the chlorophyll, and it just soothes.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have an ulcer, you just chew this up, or you can even just swallow them. But I prefer having the patients of the clinic that I talk to chew the chlorophyll, and it just soothes it within maybe seconds, but maybe as long as a minute. And they're like, "Oh, my stomach feels so much better."
Yeah.
It's, if you get poisoned with something
Yep.
or whatever. So that's a wonderful pearl right there. Always keep it on hand, especially if you're eating a lot of sugar through the day.
All right.
Okay, this was really cool. This is how laser tattoo removal actually works. I didn't know if you knew this. This is kind of forbidden stuff.
He's not erasing the tattoo ink.
This is how doctors remove tattoos.
They're burning it.
They're burning it.
That little red spot on the skin, actually hurts.
So how does laser... Oh, look at those beautiful pine trees. It's a high-intensity beam of light.
And he's burning the flesh. That thing there probably is the suction that's pulling it up.
This helps your white blood cells swallow up the foreign ink grains, and then those cells deliver the grains to your liver.
Oh, wonderful.
Better be healthy. And eventually you poop the ink along with the rest of your waste.
Yes. Yeah, in a perfect world.
Now, it takes up to 8 to 10 sessions to fully remove it. The average cost ranges between $100 to $500 per session. So it's very expensive. So choose your ink carefully because it's going to leave scars and everything else. But our pearl of wisdom here is simply... don't get tattoos, period.
Yeah, some of these tattoos are made of car paint.
Yeah, we have our dentist that we go to, our biological dentist that, I shouldn't say that. Okay, anyway.
We know this person.
That their son, they have had their son have this incredibly immaculate diet his whole life. Just amazing organic food and grass-fed meats and everything else. And he went out and got a tattoo. And I think his wife cried for like 3 days.
Yes.
To put that kind of toxin and poison into their body.
Yes.
So don't get tattoos, period. But
if you do, take copious amounts of chlorophyll.
Yeah, and I would also suggest supporting your liver with some Cruciferous Complete or some Livco or some other things. But at least take the chlorophyll.
All right.
When to put those two, because it's poisoned your body.
So when you go in for your annual checkup and you come into the office and the doctor says, well, you got high blood pressure. What is being treated? They look at the dial. They look at the sphygmomanometer. What was that? Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah. And what's being treated here? When they see this number, what's being treated? Well, the numbers are are being treated. Because when you go in there and the dial goes up really high, what's being treated is this severe case you have of numborosis. Numborosis, because the reason they have high blood pressure is not being addressed.
Now, that's so critical.
Yeah.
They don't address the foundational reason.
Is your doctor treating the numbers, or is he treating you? I mean, do they ask why? Because they don't treat the body in a holistic way. They just give you calcium channel blockers, beta blockers. They give you things to slow down weaken the strength of the heart and to slow down the heart rate so that your blood pressure drops. Is there danger with high blood pressure? Yes, of course there is. But there's other ways to deal with it when you go to the foundational reason the high blood pressure is
Which
there.
we talked about forever in our heart podcast. With an enlarged heart, you need to strengthen the heart. You need to strengthen the nerves. I mean, all different things. But a doctor will never ask that. So our pearl is...
don't get diagnosed with numborosis. Make sure that when you see somebody professionally for this, that they know how to get rid of the high blood pressure without having to drug you to death, because cardiac medication can be the most disabling medication you'll ever take.
Yeah, we have.
How long do I have to take this, Doc? Well, probably the rest of your life.
Rest of your life.
Before long, you'll be in a wheelchair or you won't be able to get off the couch.
Yeah, and it's not a good doctor
just
that
kill your
doesn't
heart.
get you off medication.
All right, next one.
Okay, question. What is choline, and should I be taking the supplement?
I knew choline in the 5th grade. Okay. All right. Well, it's a nutrient in the B vitamin family. It helps maintain the body's cell structures. It also has a role in nerve function, fetal development, and the removal of fat from the liver.
Ah, fatty livers.
And the body needs sufficient choline to maintain healthy blood vessels in cardiac, liver, and muscle function. But best of all, it promotes thick hair growth in women when taken with Linum B6.
Linum B6 is a flax oil.
This is one of the things that we learned through practice. That's not in a textbook.
22 years of practice. Yeah. You give a woman Linum B6
just this week, a woman my age, 66, said, hey, Doc, thanks for what you're doing. My headaches are gone, but what can we do about my hair loss? We're talking about that this week in a podcast. Let me tell you what, Linum B6 and choline.
Yeah. With each meal. There's the
a picture
choline.
of it.
Whoops, it went by real fast. But for good nerve function and to ensure baby's nerve and brain development and keep mommy's beautiful thick hair from falling out, take 1 choline with each
A great
meal.
pearl. All
Yeah,
right.
it's a great pearl. Okay, here's a fun one on bile and fatty acids.
Well, bile does several things, one of which, of course, is to dump toxins into the bowel from the liver so we can get rid of them. And also bile is responsible for lubricating the bowel if the bile is in a healthy condition. But if it's sluggish and not flowing the way it should, you can get really constipated.
The worst case of constipation I've ever seen.
And your body makes most of the steroid hormones from the fats that we ingest. Hopefully those are healthy fatty acids, not the trans fats that come from Crisco or McDonald's fries.
Yeah.
But we still need to break them down and get that stuff out of the body. And the F factor, the fatty acid factor, is what allows us to be able to push minerals into our muscles, into our tissues, so heart arrhythmias, muscle cramps, restless legs, skin problems, constipation go away. But the hormones.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to stress
here. The hormones here are absolutely dependent upon healthy fats. They're made out of cholesterol to begin with.
Yes.
And if you are taking any kind of a cholesterol-lowering drug, you are going to be disaffected to a degree you don't like.
A hormone nightmare.
Yes.
Yeah. On all those levels, all those different. I went past it too fast, but all the different.
They're all hormones.
Glands.
They're all hormone glands.
Yeah, and they all need fatty acids.
Right, and you need a healthy gallbladder producing healthy amounts of bile to break down those fats to release the healthy fatty acids into the bloodstream.
Yeah,
and then the various organs will pick those fats out of the bloodstream and create the hormones that they're designed to do.
And if that's not scary enough, let's show you what else happens when you don't have fatty acids or you don't have fat in your diet. Starts off as heat exhaustion, then it goes to heat stroke, and then, of course, is death.
Yeah.
And we're not messing around here because...
it's more than just getting adequate water when you go out in the heat.
Is what's so frustrating to me when I research this or look up, even try to find anything on sunstroke. Every single recommendation, every single one says you just need to drink more. That's ridiculous. That's not gonna bring you back from the edge of death. Just drinking more water. What you need is essential fatty acids. And I'll tell you a story. And Cataplex F is our essential fatty acids, or you can eat fish. But a lady here in Salt Lake City went on this pioneer trek. They recreated, and the pioneers that came into Utah. And she was a mother with 2 children, and they were out in the sun, and she got heat stroke and died.
Yes.
Died. And just for a few pennies of Cataplex F, it would have saved her life. Not water. Water wouldn't have saved her life. Probably would have helped, I'm sure. But Cataplex F would have saved her life. And everything I researched, it says nothing about essential fatty acids except some research paper that
I found some. I found some where they were experimenting with mice.
Yeah, this was a research paper, though. Nobody knows about this.
Yes. Yeah, I went to PubMed and I started researching this. And what they found out with some experiments with mice is they had two groups of mice, both of which they subjected to conditions that would cause heat stroke. And in the one group that was loaded up with EPA and DHA, the omega-3 fatty acids, they survived the conditions the other group died from under the conditions of induced heat stroke.
Yeah, this is just criminal that we don't know this, that it's not everywhere. This is forbidden stuff. Nobody will tell you.
And so what's the standard prophylaxis for this? Well, get in the shade, wear a hat, and drink a lot of fluids.
And call 911.
Which is good advice, but it's only half the picture.
Yeah, you don't have time to call 911. You don't have time.
You don't think they doused this woman with water when she finally collapsed? They pulled her into the shade, doused her with water, probably loosened her clothing, but too late. The brain was cooked.
Just gone. Just no essential fatty acids. So the pearl, which is life-saving, if you don't eat enough fish, take Cataplex F and always keep Cataplex F on hand for sunstroke and cramps.
Spencer's football.
Yeah, my son, when he would play football out in this Las Vegas heat, he would always take 6 Cataplex F before he played. Your endurance, your strength, everything was so much stronger, but it kept him from dying.
Yeah, and all the other boys are puking.
Yep, it's
from
hot.
flirting with heat stroke. He never did.
And there's that, but then also my daughters always kept a little bottle of Cataplex F in their purse, always do, for cramps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Calcium. This pushes the calcium that relaxes the muscles that are cramping up. Also, it's really good for hearts. If hearts are cramping up, just chew up a bunch of Cataplex F or you get a cramp in your leg. So anyway, I'm sorry, but I get really excited about this. Cataplex F is one of the most incredible pearls that can save your child's life or anybody else's life around you. Okay, let's move on. All right,
let's go on here. So testosterone, amazingly, is not an aggressive hormone. Actually, testosterone helps men to be calm and cool and collected.
See? Did you know that? That's a great pool. Cool.
Too much cortisol is the hormone that makes men rage and have anxieties.
So it's cortisol that's to blame, not testosterone.
It's the stress handling hormone. And that you can get into a cycle where it continues to get higher and higher and higher. And coupled with the amygdala and a few other things with the brain, that's where the rage and the anxiety comes from.
Yeah. So anxiety problems or rage problems are adrenal problems.
Yeah. Now, here's something we call the HPA axis.
Hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal. HPA.
Yeah. And what these things, the hypothalamus is the center for your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight. Mm-hmm. And it tells when it notices there's not enough of particular hormones present in the blood, those that help to handle stress, it will tell the anterior pituitary to release ACTH. Adrenocortical-trophic hormone or something like adrenocortical. Anyway, and that stimulates the adrenal cortex, which is the outer layer of the adrenal, to release cortisol. Now, the problem, this is really the mind-body connection.
Yeah, and if it's not functioning properly, you can be like some of the symptoms. You're like detached from life,
exactly.
like you're in a cave.
Yes.
You can have memory problems.
You can feel walled off from people and things going on around you.
Yeah, your emotions, just that beautiful orchestra of your emotions just is not working correctly.
Now, that can be caused by brain trauma or some kind of physical, emotional, or chemical trauma, like being poisoned or whatever, which will weaken this HPA axis and throw it out of balance. And if it stays out of balance, there's going to be the cycle will go down and down and down until some better supporting nutrition is provided.
Yeah.
And so this is one of the two products we've created, Ageless Thyroid, that's designed to bring that hormonal loop back together.
Yeah. So Ageless Thyroid loops your hormone system, the HPA axis, back together.
All right, you're looking at here, these are blood vessels dissected, opened up. Of course, they're pictorial, not the real thing. And what we want to talk about here for just a moment is C-reactive proteins. Medicine is moving away from cholesterol being an indicator of cardiovascular disease. Now what they're realizing is the relationship between C-reactive protein and homocysteine are bigger indicators of coming cardiac problems.
Right.
And C-reactive protein, as it says there in the picture on the right, is triggered by the inflamed plaque molecule. CRP builds up in the blood. I think normal C-reactive protein should be under 1, or it may be under 2, but I've seen them in people as high as 7, 8, 14, 15, up to 20.
Ooh.
And what it means is there's real serious inflammatory problems going on primarily in the cardiovascular system, in the heart and in the blood vessels that feed blood into and take blood away from the heart.
Yeah, well, the pearl is it indicates if you have high C-reactive proteins, indicates severe stress on the heart.
Right, and cardiologists are moving in that direction to interpret that. The C-reactive protein is a very complex protein. Those of you out there who have several years of biochemistry, you can look at this and say, oh, that's a C-reactive protein.
Looks like my grandson's drawings.
Yeah, and then here's a picture of a heart it's in the process of having an attack.
Cardiac arrest.
There's a cardiac arrest that's taking place.
So when you have C-reactive proteins, when they're really high, I went off looking for the medical system's answer, and here was PubMed's answer. And it said that you have to live with heart disease. Most types are long-lasting, your heart disease. At first, symptoms can be hard to spot and may not disturb your daily life. But left alone and ignored, they get worse.
Yes.
Yeah. So here's PubMed's answer to heart disease and high C-reactive proteins. Medicines. A number of prescription drugs can help you. Some lower blood pressure, heart rate, or cholesterol levels. Others control irregular rhythms or prevent clots. If you already have some heart damage, other medications can help your heart pump blood.
Remember, 100 years ago, in the New England Journal of Medicine, and I think it was around 1917, 1918, was the first article that ever showed up indicating there was a growing problem in the inner cities of the East Coast part of America. Something was wrong with the heart. That's 100. Heart disease wasn't even in the top 10 causes of death 100 years ago. Cancer was number 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Heart disease wasn't even listed.
Wow. And all they offer is this. Here we are 100 years later, and they offer nothing else.
But
so
medicine.
We, at the Forbidden Doctor...
This is going to sound awfully wild.
We offer this pearl.
Just feed the heart. This is what they did 100 years ago when people did have some problems with their heart or cardiovascular problems. They give them a half a pound of heart a day.
Yeah,
if they ate a half a pound of heart, and I don't know how many of you have ever tried heart, but it's actually a very tender, very delicious food. I'm not going to go into how to prepare it. I think we have a lot of podcasts on it. But I remember the first time I ever tried it, I don't know if I can eat this.
Put a lot of sauce on it.
But it was delicious.
Yeah.
It was sweet and it was delicious.
Or take Cardio Plus. It's got the protomorphogen and everything in it. It's an amazing food for the heart.
Now, if you eat your animal proteins burned to a cinder or overcooked, which like this, that's...
Look at this. This is a steak. Literally, it's a steak, and I love this. Police line, do not cross. Don't eat this.
If you eat meat that's charbroiled, I mean, this is way beyond food. These are the ashes of something. Yet people will eat this kind of stuff. And what happens is it makes an acid ash inside the body. In other words, once it starts to be metabolized, there's an acid effect as a result. And your body will raid the gallbladder of organic sodium, which is a very alkalizing mineral.
Yeah, bile is very alkaline.
From the bile, before it'll steal it out of by raiding your bones of calcium, which is another alkalizing mineral, to balance out your blood pH to keep it where it's normal.
So did you get that? Your body, if you eat meat that's overcooked like this, your body will have to balance out your blood because this overcooked meat makes an acid ash. So it will raid your gallbladder of the bile to try and balance that out. Now, if you don't have a gallbladder, guess what it's going to raid? It's going to raid your
bones.
Your bones.
Or if the bile is depleted to some degree.
Yes. Which could be from stones and anything else. So we always have said this for a long time. Arthritis is a cooked food disease.
When I get x-rays of a new patient and I'm looking at those films, consulting with them for the first time, and I see arthritis or I see osteoporosis, I say, how much grain do you eat? That's the first question.
Yeah.
Number two, I say, how far do you cook meat before you eat it? It's almost always well-done meat.
And then you write a recommendation to eat sushi.
Yeah, you find a good sushi restaurant.
Steak tartare.
Or, we got something else to suggest here, but you got to keep your gallbladder at all costs.
Yeah, so it doesn't raid your bones.
If it's cancerous, then I understand. That's a crisis situation. You got to do something about it. But there's so many things that can be done with a gallbladder to bring it back online and get it functioning correctly in a very short time.
Boy.
And we have a podcast on that.
If you have a cancerous gallbladder, you got lots of problems.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the least of your problems there.
The
pearl is cook or eat your meat as rare as possible.
How far did you cook meat, honey, when we first met?
Just as far as it could be cooked.
Yes.
I mean, I liked it charcoal like that.
And when I suggest
then what do I eat now?
And then rare.
Yeah,
Rare
I'll eat raw.
Because
I'll eat raw meat.
Well, I will have steak tartare
all the time.
There's a restaurant in the Salt Lake area, the Paris Bistro, and it takes a while. They take filet beef fillet, and they chop it up into tiniest little pieces. They mix it up with a bunch of herbs and spices.
It's so
and
good.
Set it in the fridge for about a half an hour to marinate, and then they serve it like a little cup, and it is delicious.
Yeah, and the beef carpaccio and sushi, and eat your meats as rare as possible and cook your vegetables as much.
And if you're worried about parasites or anything like this, we cook food to get rid of the parasites. Take a couple of Zypan. Take a couple of digestive enzymes along with the meat to make sure that the stomach acid is hot enough to kill anything that came through with the meat.
Yeah, when we went to Egypt back in about 2007, we didn't even know what we were eating there. And their meat, it was very scary what we ate. And we took a big bottle of Zypan with us, and we didn't get sick at all. So I don't know. Maybe, people with us got terribly sick. So we know there was some parasites or some kind of problem. So I should have put Zypan up there for if you eat a lot of raw meat, if you're scared of the meat. So, and we eat raw eggs, which is raw meat. Yeah. Our raw egg shake. Yep. So never had a problem with that. And I just talked to a patient on text just before we got on the air, said she's been eating her raw egg shakes and she feels wonderful.
A week ago she didn't.
Oh no, it was pretty bad.
A week ago she thought she had to go to the emergency room.
Yeah, and I said you've got to feed your body. You've got to do
what we tell you to do.
Yeah, and so she started eating the more fat and more meat, which she wasn't eating any meat. I don't know if it was a problem, meaning that she was a vegetarian or that type of thing. But I said, you have to rebuild your body, and you cannot rebuild your body on broccoli or fruit, which is all she was eating. So we pretty much forced her to start rebuilding her body. And she said she had a wonderful day, slept all through the night. Yeah. So, and I think she had some adrenal issues, some severe adrenal issues, and fat and protein turned her around.
All right, next one.
Okay. Spider veins, varicose veins, and hemorrhoids. You'll love that picture.
Oh, that poor man.
I know. I think it's hilarious.
He needs to slide that under the door of the stall there, so someone can come and give him some help.
No, but this is serious stuff.
We have a very cool pearl here to help you out.
Yeah, I mean, this is serious. These varicose veins are serious liver problems, and hemorrhoids, they're all related. Spider veins, hemorrhoids, and this is a little involved, but here it is. Here's the pearl. Do these once a week. A castor oil pack, and you just put it right
over the center
on
of the
varicose
spider vein or the serious part of the...
or even the hemorrhoid.
Right.
And do a coffee enema once a week at least. That will help dump toxins out of the liver. And then do a gallbladder flush once a week. This is severe. This is intense stuff. But if you're really going to fix this, because... part of the problem is when you have these problems of the spider veins and the hemorrhoids and the varicose veins, it's a good sign that you have estrogen dominance. And I'm sorry about our kitty cat, but she's going crazy here. But it's a good sign you have estrogen, too much estrogen built up in your body, and you also have some liver problems. Here's a really incredible protocol, and it's intense also. Collinsonia root, 18 a day. Cyruta Plus to rebuild, 12 a day. Protofood, which is the broken down proteins into
with
amino
all the
acids.
Essential amino acids.
3 a day of those. And Echinacea Premium, 3 a day of those.
Now, the Collinsonia root right there, if you have hemorrhoids, this can clear up hemorrhoids in 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, we have a podcast on hemorrhoids
we do.
too, which is wonderful. I also give away a free book on this, I think, too. So here's the pearl. Spider veins, hemorrhoids, and varicose veins are a sign of estrogen dominance and is a risk factor in breast cancer. So it is something you do want to fix.
Right.
So that's forbidden information you won't get from any doctor. Okay, let's move to the next one. So for immune support, remember the importance of taking calcium. Remember we talked about the calcium wave that goes in and busts up or implodes bacteria. But you've got to think of calcium as the gun, and vitamin C is the bullet.
That's in our 636, and we have a podcast very early on in podcast history with the Forbidden Doctor that goes into this in great detail. But your immune system will not function properly without adequate levels of calcium bicarbonate in the bloodstream. And vitamin C is absolutely essential for the oxidative power of various parts of your white blood cell system to destroy the enemy.
Yeah. And I know that's not the right bullet for that gun. I know guys are going to...
I'm glad you you know, I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I want to say that looks...
it wasn't
I was
right when I did it.
That
But it was
looks
so
like
pretty. It was a pretty little bullet.
30-06 at least, maybe bigger than that.
Yeah, I don't think it'd fit that gun. But anyway, I just wanted to get the little pearl across that calcium is the gun and vitamin C is the bullet. And then I wanted to talk a little bit real quickly about calcium, because you need to get an absorbable form of calcium. This is one of the things we helped this girl with the adrenal problem. She needed copious amounts of calcium, but you have to get the kind that is bioavailable. Out on the market, they have calcium carbonate and sorbonate, and it takes 11 enzymatic steps for your body to use it.
Yep.
But we recommend calcium lactate. It is the most absorbable form of calcium.
It's only one enzymatic step away from calcium bicarbonate, which is the only form of calcium your body can use.
Yeah. So we always recommend taking calcium lactate. It's the most absorbable kind. That's really important, guys.
It has
really
nothing to do with
important.
dairy.
Yeah. The lactate doesn't mean dairy. It comes from a vegetable.
It's a salt of lactic acid.
Yeah.
Yep.
So always take a whole food vitamin C, not just ascorbic acid. It won't do the same job. Okay, that's our little pearl. And our next pearl.
Yeah, if the thyroid gland is the furnace of the body, the adrenals are the thermostat. And so you want an active, healthy thyroid so that the level of metabolism in the cells is exactly what it's supposed to be. And the adrenals and its feedback mechanism to the thyroid, the adrenals and its HPA, which stands for adrenals function, sends out hormones to speed things up or to slow things down.
So
and when they're working in conjunction with one another, you're going to be feeling pretty good.
And here is your little pearl. To function properly, the thyroid needs iodine and selenium, and the adrenals need whole food vitamin C.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one. This is the clinical guide. It's now forbidden and illegal, even to clinicians.
Yeah.
You can't even read this.
This is one of the sacred holy ground books of nutritional healing that's been around for several decades, but now it's disappearing.
And the guy that wrote it and did all the commentary in the book was this John Courtney, and he was like the
right-hand man of Dr. Lee. He's the one who put all of the formulations together that Dr. Lee created.
Yeah, he was like the second Dr. Royal Lee, an incredible guy, and he said he said there were 3 supplements. I know there was one, Protofood. Let's pull that up. This is the essential amino acids. This is broken down proteins, the building blocks of all life. He said if he could only save one product from standard process, it would be Protofood.
Yeah.
All the rest of them, this is the most important. But he had 2 other favorites, and they were Super EFF, and these are broken down. I mean, these are pre-digested fats. Yeah. She's really going crazy here.
Yeah, she's upset with us. We're ignoring her, and she's not happy. Where's the gun?
It's right here.
I mean, the squirt thing.
The water.
Yep, there she goes. This should come back even madder. Super EFF. Super means above. In Latin, it just means above. And so it is a pre-digested pre-digested form of fat that your body can immediately use that will help to detoxify the liver and have several other good functions.
It's a cellular food. Dr. Royal Lee found that if people could not, that were starving, they had a wasting disease. Then he knew they needed essential fatty acids, but they couldn't break them down. They couldn't absorb them into the cell. So he put this through a liver and pulled it out the other side. I don't know how he did this. So it's pre-digested essential fatty acids. So it's essential to life. And then the last one he loved was RNA. This is the second messenger of the cell. And if you want to explain it anymore.
Well, RNA, ribonucleic acid, takes the genetic information from the central part of the cell, the nucleus, out of the nucleus into the rest of the cell to create the very things the DNA pattern of that nucleus tells that cell to do. So the DNA structure may say, well, this is a liver cell, it should act like a liver. This is a kidney cell, it should act like a kidney. And the RNA, sufficient levels of RNA in the cell, make sure that the function of that cell gets done. And so without adequate levels of RNA in the body, there's a lot of processes that simply will not take place that should be going on constantly.
You can think of RNA kind of like warm wax that imprints on DNA. What it needs, and then it goes out to the body and says, I need this and this and this and this and this, and brings it back.
There's all kinds of little machines inside that cell that are waiting for that message. When they get that message, then they produce it, which may be to produce insulin as a hormone. Maybe it's to produce a particular enzyme that regulates the permeability of the wall of that cell to other kind of foods and enzymes and coenzymes and vitamins and minerals. There's thousands upon thousands of functions that go on in there.
And we have it sitting right here on the desk, RNA, because if you take this before you have to take a test or be on the air, I didn't take it. I'm just being brilliant without it. But it does make you think of things much easier if you can't come up with words. So I tried to take like 5 of these before I to do a podcast, but I forgot this time.
Right.
So the Pearl is on our website, forbiddendoctor.com, has the entirety of John Courtney's clinical guide.
So it has not disappeared.
It's
there.
Forbidden, but we have it.
All right.
Ooh. Okay, here's the next one. This is a great Pearl. If you have physical or emotional trauma, Thymus PMG is the protector of the heart, and especially for children with trauma with children, and bedwetting is a huge trauma for children.
We found out that sometimes just the administration of maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 of these, a half an hour to an hour before bed, can take care of the bedwetting problem. It doesn't do in all cases, but it does in a lot of cases.
Almost every case it works for bedwetting. It's in a wonderful little pearl, and it's also very good for severe emotional trauma. It's the protector of the heart, and so here is our pearl. Give your soul some support. Take Thymus PMG. Here's another great pearl. This is you say it.
Costochondritis.
I can say it if I say it fast. Costochondritis.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. This is a horrible, horrible chest pain.
It's totally unrelated to the heart.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with the heart. But I actually had this for one night. One night. I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, I thought I was having a heart attack. I mean, it was so painful. But you corrected me. A NUCA adjustment correction, we call them corrections, and it was gone. And the reason I bring this up is because our office manager, Marcy, before she was our office manager, she had this for 8 months. 8 months. She took massive pain pills and steroids to bring down the pain. And let me show you what the Medical Society says to do for this. They say do home remedies of over-the-counter
analgesics,
and Tylenol, NSAIDs, inflammatory drugs to bring down the inflammation. Put heating pads or warm compresses over the painful area. It's a good idea to avoid stressing the area and don't exercise. And if coughing aggravates the pain, use cough suppressants or cough drops and ease the pain or the stress of muscles. But if the home remedy doesn't work, then what prescription therapies are available? And all they offer is to alleviate the pain. That is it. Analgesics, physical therapy can help too, but that sounds very painful. I remember how painful this was. Local injections of lidocaine and corticosteroids. literally steroids to bring down the inflammation, not fixing the problem at all.
Yeah, or learning Middle Eastern dance with a blue ribbon.
Sorry, I went past that.
Oh, okay.
You were going to. That's hilarious.
Or here, if you want to really have some pain, stretch something that's inflamed.
Yes. Gently twisting the body in opposite directions. I mean, this is crazy. And then, of course, the mother of all things, just take pain pills. And they say that it often resolves within weeks to months. Boy, can you imagine this pain? The majority of cases have been resolved by the 1 year mark.
Yeah, yes, only 11 more months to go.
How would you like to have this for a year?
Oh, my goodness.
And it can turn into a chronic problem, or you can go see either you, Jack, or another NUCA doctor.
In our office, we have two. There's myself and our son, Dr. Josh.
You are also board certified.
Yeah, this board certification is a very difficult achievement in National Upper Cervical Chiropractic Association.
Because there are only 27 board certified doctors
in the history
in the whole world. And you're the only board certified doctor from the Mississippi to the California border.
There's a couple in Iowa, and there's one in Arizona or New Mexico.
Yeah.
But straight line across Kansas City, through Denver, through Salt Lake, to Reno, to San Francisco,
so
I'm the only one.
Luckily, I was sleeping with you in the middle of the night. You got up and corrected me.
I thought you were going to talk about something else.
It was amazing. And it's so sad. That pearl, this incredible pearl, nobody knows about, and they live in such horrible pain. So,
for costochondritis, go see a NUCA doctor. There's a lot of upper cervical doctors out there, and there's a lot of doctors that say they do upper cervical work. Most of them that claim they do, I've talked to them, they're just going to, pop and twist, and that's not going to fix the problem.
Yeah.
You've got to have somebody who knows how to set that C1, the top bone in the neck, back in its proper position.
Yeah, it's really critical. That is a very powerful pearl, because when people have this, they're in so much pain. So, I mean, I couldn't believe it, how much pain I was. Okay, here we come to the end of our podcast.
Yes, and last but not least, the pearl of how to lose weight and to bring everything else to you that you want. We're bringing Esther Hicks in again because our last podcast was wildly accepted and had one of the highest rates of downloads in the shortest amount of time we have ever seen.
Yeah.
And one of our listeners said she had listened to the podcast, this last one, on Everything is Working Out for You 6 times already.
Our last podcast was just amazing.
So what you're going to hear, we're going to play the audio, and what you're going to hear is about this lady that wants to keep losing weight, but she's stuck.
Yeah. She's lost 30 pounds, but she says, I've released 30 pounds. But, she had done it through the way that we all think we have to lose weight was force. And force works for a time.
I can't eat this. I can't eat on you.
Well, that's why force is so deceiving, because it does work. It just doesn't last. Okay? So what Esther Hicks is going to talk about in this video is a way to release it forever, to keep releasing it, and this is permanent weight loss.
And there's a tremendous pearl at the end of towards the end of this. It's several minutes long.
Yeah.
So, if you need to pause this and go to the bathroom or get a drink or something and then come back, we need your full attention, if you can give it, to what Esther has to say.
Yeah,
here,
and I didn't put the whole thing in.
No,
I
fast forwarded.
Yeah, I fast forwarded 7.5 minutes. You can listen to the entire thing if you go to that URL at the bottom of the screen. So sit back and listen to every word she says.
This is where I get stuck trying to think about.
Well, nothing's moving. In other words, nothing's changing. In other words, it's sort of like blah, 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 blah. Smile, blah, 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 blah. And it's all right, because many people have been offering a lot of words, and words aren't making it happen. It's vibration. So you got to find a way to shift into a vibration that feels even more hopeful. And we think that you might be trying to jump too far. So don't try to jump so far, just try to soothe where you are. If we were standing in your physical shoes, we'd be doing more making peace with where we are than we would be reaching for. Because when you try to make too big of a jump, you don't make it. Where when you make peace with where you are, you always turn downstream. But you're afraid to make peace with where you are because you think if you make peace with where you are, you'll be stuck right where you are. And there are a lot of people in relationships or in physical conditions that they don't want to make peace with it because they think that's like the universe will say, oh, well, she's made peace with it, so let her continue to be fat.
I think you hit the nail on the head.
We
right
think
there.
so too. And that's and that's why you use the word like worth it. In other words, you're sort of trying to pay a price for it. And what we want you to understand is you got to understand you've been living life and you've put what you want, including the physical body that you want, over there in your vibrational escrow, and it's there and waiting for you. And there's something that you're doing on a really consistent basis that is keeping you from easily moving toward it. And we think what it is in most cases with most people, and it certainly is true here, you're trying to make too big of a jump because you're so sure. The strongest vibration that we can feel from you on this subject is I don't like where I am. So when the universe shines its law of attraction on you, as it applies the law of gravity and law of attraction to you, what it's amplifying is how you feel, how you feel, how you feel, how you feel, how you feel. And that's why things don't change very fast. Do you know that what you're living is the indicator of your vibration, period? You don't go to the gas station with your gas gauge on empty and just lay your head on the steering wheel and sob. It's over. Look what I've come to. And you do something about it. You just fill up your tank, you see. It's an indicator, and every manifestation is an indicator. And so to get a different indicator, it's an indicator of what? It's an indicator of vibration. So when you shift vibration, you'll get a different indicator. And when you shift vibration, you'll get a different indicator. All manifestation is just an indicator of vibration. But you all, and not just you, almost all of you, you take the reality that exists and you make it so meaningful. You take too many pictures of it. You make too many monuments about it. You make the reality too real. And you hold yourself in the reality when we want to say reality doesn't mean diddly squat. It's just the current indicator of the summation of your vibration, but it's so in flux. It's so morphing. It's so changing, amending, evolving, becoming. It doesn't mean anything. Where you are doesn't matter. It's sort of like if you were in the old days in the dark room developing your film, and at first it doesn't look anything like you want it to, and then it becomes and becomes and becomes and becomes and becomes and becomes right before your eyes. Where that's what's happening with you. You're becoming and becoming and becoming and becoming and becoming and becoming right before your eyes. And so but you got to be all right with where you are now in the process of becoming. And the thing that keeps you from moving in the direction of what you want is your distaste about where you are. It's your condemnation about where you are. It's your regret about where you are. It's your unworthiness about who you are. It's a general consensus of displeasure about my now that won't let you move to a better place, you see. So you just got to make peace, make peace, make peace, make peace, make peace, not just with your physical body. Your physical body is just an indicator of how you feel about a whole lot of things. You got to make peace with where you are in relationships and in terms of money and in terms of, you got to make peace with where you are. You've got to stop warring with who you are. So much of the world has shown its displeasure at so much of the world. You all run around defensive. You're more worried about what somebody else is thinking about you than you are about how you feel in any moment in time. You got to get over that. It's got to matter to you how you feel about this and that and this and that and this and that. And so making peace with where you are, oh, it is so delicious to begin making peace with where you are. I am where I am, not this is who I am, or this is the label that somebody has given me, or this is the body condition that I've come to. You are a vibrational being, a vibrational being. Would you ever go to your radio and cuss it out because it plays that same damn song over and over and over again. You've been stuck on that station for as long as I've known you. You wouldn't. You just change the dial. In other words, it's so simple to just change the frequency and get something different. And yet, so many of you are frustrated because it's like you've got your dial super glued right where it is. And you're sort of writhing in discontent about what's happening when you can change the dial. You can. So it always sounds like when we have a conversation with someone who is bold enough to state an issue that they're dealing with, it always sounds like we want you to make peace with that. It's not just that. We want you to make peace with everything that's happening in your life in an attitude of, I am where I am and I'm doing pretty darn good and I'm pleased with how far I've come and I'm doing better and it's getting clearer and I know more today than I did yesterday, and now I know I am an eternal being in a way I didn't know before. I have this clear picture that I am a source energy, and now I understand this stream that I'm being called toward. I now understand my emotions completely in ways I've never known before. I now can quantify every journey because I can tell which way is moving toward improvement and which way is moving away from it. I now get it in ways that I never got it before. This is fun. This process of becoming is fun. You got to realize that you're putting your boat in the water, but it doesn't matter where you're putting it in the water. It couldn't matter less because the stream's moving that away, and that's where everything you want is. So what possible difference does it make where you're putting your boat in the stream? You're doing the best you can do. You can't put the boat in the stream at 30 pounds lighter or 100 pounds lighter. You can't do it. You're putting your boat in the stream where you are. You can't put your boat in the stream any different than where you are. In other words, Esther was ornery as she could be. She could not believe that she could not get into her room. She could not believe that she could not get into her room. She really needed to get into her room. And as it all came down, she was embarrassed. In other words, how dumb of us. We weren't even on the right floor. And we made this big deal with everybody about our keys not working. Of course our keys don't work. We're not even at the right door. All of this is upstream, 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 upstream. In other words, give yourself a break. Aren't you allowed a mistake? Aren't you allowed to get off on the wrong floor occasionally? Aren't you allowed? Did the world come to an end? Aren't you allowed? Do you know that the source within you never stops loving you no matter where you are? And do you know that everything that you consider to be not good that's happened to you is only as a result of you not seeing yourself as the source within you sees you? Period. That's all it is. You are vibrational beings. You are not a physical being who weighs more than you want to weigh. You are a vibrational being who is upstream more often than you want to be upstream. And you can do something about that right now. You can't dump off those pounds that you don't want instantly, but you can find a thought that feels better instantly, and you can turn downstream, and you can bring yourself, and this is what we want. We want, more than all other things put together, we want for you, more important than everything else that we've said to you here or to anyone ever, we want for you to be able to put on that new dress and look in the mirror or whatever it is, and look in the mirror and like what you see. We want you to like what you see because you are a being in the state of evolving. We want you to look in the mirror and we want you to see the source shining back from you, from your eyes. We want you to see the trillions of cells in your body that are all perfect in their response to whatever it is that you are about. We want you to see this magnificent physical apparatus. We want you to adore the functioning of your brain process and the functioning of the way your body is working. We want you to see so much more to look in that mirror and see and adore than there is to see and not like so much. You've just got to train yourself to like what you see. You must like yourself. You must like what you see before you can turn downstream toward everything that's in your vibrational escrow, which includes the body you want, which includes the relationships you want, which includes the dynamic dollars that you want, which includes the love of life and adventure of this planet that you want, you see. It's all there for you, but you can't get there from there. You got to change the way you see yourself. And you've got to do it before the way you see yourself changes. That's the thing that's so tricky. Oh, yeah. Well, if I can bang myself into a better position, then I'll like what I see. Oh, yeah. I'll work really hard. I'll deprive myself of this and this and this. I'll read the 400 millionth book that has been written on what I should and shouldn't eat. I'll follow the latest fad. I'll follow the latest fad relative to motions. I'll make it happen. I'll make it happen so that then I can look in the mirror and like what I see. We say, doesn't work that way. You got to look in the mirror as you are and like what you see, and then what you see will change.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's the third or fourth time I've heard that, and I still have to say wow.
Remember, the way to get what you want is to choose to feel good right now. Right now. Not think, oh, when I lose that 30 pounds, I'll feel good. You have to align with what you want to create. You can't just hope for it. You align your very powerful creative energy inside of you, and you have to care about how you feel now. And you align yourself with what you want in the future, and then everything will start to change. So how do you help yourself feel good right now? Right now. Just think of your favorite things. Your favorite things. Do the things that are fun for you. I mean, how hard is that? That's what we talked about in our last podcast. You help yourself feel good about who you are right now and bring yourself to a fun, enjoyable place in your mind, if nowhere else. If you can afford to go to Switzerland or buy a yacht or never work, right now in your mind, you can, there's no ending to your dreaming. You can dream of castles, of millennia. You can dream of universes. You can dream of peace in your mind. And you can be kind and loving and gentle and tender with yourself right now. And that will align your energy up to where you will start to drop off the weight, if that's what you want, or bring in the relationship you want, or bring in the money that you want, if you bring yourself to peace right now. In other words, as she says, go downstream. Yeah. Just jump on and go downstream. You don't even have to paddle. How hard is that? Yeah. So she says here, if you have to begin to tell the story, you have to begin to tell the story of your life as you now want it to be, and discontinue the tales of how it has been or of how it is. Tell it now. Change now. You have the power. And then this one I liked. When you try to justify where you are by pointing out how bad things are, you're headed in the wrong direction. Constantly telling yourself, I'm too fat, I'm too fat, I'm too fat. So here's the pearl. Look in the mirror and like what you see inside and out, and then what you see will change.
Right now.
Right now. And here's our recap. There's Esther Hicks. I love that picture of her. Too often, people beat up on themselves when things aren't going well. They become self-derogatory. And we want them to understand there is always a vibrational choice that they do have some control over, if they will just try a little bit. That's why we are so emphatic about your early morning thoughts. Find some general thought that feels good and try to stay there until some of the momentum gets going. And then notice how this day is different because you did that. And after 30 days of doing that, you'll know.
Wow.
So you start your day off thinking of some general thought that feels good to you, and you have that power. So that's the recap there. And then here is our closing gift we promised, and the closing pearl is, the closing gift is to take 25% off any purchase of Long Life Energy enzymes and use the coupon code SAVEMYLIFE.
Yeah.
Okay? And then the closing pearl, this is the most profound question and the most profound answer Esther has ever been asked.
This knocked my socks off. It's only about a minute long.
It's ever been asked and has ever been answered.
This is just incredible.
Yeah. So sit back and listen to this.
I kind of promised I wouldn't ask this question, but I'm going to anyhow.
Who did you promise?
This is it. I've mentioned to people, and they said, oh, don't. But this is a quick one. Why do dogs risk getting bugs in their eyes, sticking their heads out of car windows?
Well, tell your friends that you have asked the most profound question that has ever been asked. And you have given us an opportunity to give the answer that we have been waiting a very long time to give. And that is because the contrast of the bugs in the eye is a small price to pay for the exhilaration of that ride. And it is exactly the same way you felt when you made the decision to come into this physical existence. It's exactly the way you felt when you knew there would be contrast and you said, the ride is going to be worth it.
Thank you.
And the pearl. You came here because you knew the ride was going to be worth it. And it's not over till it's over. And if you don't know the ride was worth it, it just isn't over yet.
It's not over. So if you like what we're doing in these podcasts, there's several ways to support us. You can leave a positive review on iTunes. You can ask questions and give feedback at the end of this podcast. And you can join our family by filling out a symptom survey. So thanks for listening to this forbidden information. And
we'll have another one in a couple of weeks.
Yep, we will. And thanks for listening. And remember, you can always call us, text us, or email us with questions. And we can start a health revolution with this dent and go on to rip a hole in the healthcare universe as we started. And this disclaimer, we're just going to read it. The statements made in this webinar about specific products have not been evaluated by the United States Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. All information provided or any information contained on or in any product, label, or packaging or this podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for advice from your physician or other healthcare professionals.
All right. We'll see you next week.
See you next time.
Oh, in 2 weeks. We'll see you next time. All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Forbidden Doctor podcast. If you are curious about long life energy enzymes or ageless thyroid, you can purchase them without a membership from our website at forbiddendoctor.com or get our enzyme formula from Amazon.com by searching the full term Long Life Energy Enzymes. Don't forget to take our obligation-free symptom survey to get a free personalized supplement protocol recommended for you by Dr. Jack, Mary, or one of our qualified nutritionists. Take the survey, get a call from our nutritionist to create a protocol and a patient login, then use that login to see your own personal protocol along with any favorites you've saved from our symptom library. Remember, our website and our clinic are here for you always.